I actually wrote on Sunday. I was all three of us here like Mudiay, and I was looking at the free agent list, and the Nuggets are not going to get Aldridge. They're not going to get any of the A-tier people. And so what I suggested, and I'd like to get your feedback, you just brought up Danny Green. I think if they put Mudiay in the lineup and they have a off guard or shooting guard, Danny Green's got a guy that can average about 40% from the three-point line. He does it in the playoffs. I also like Paul Millsap and Brendan Bass, and I wonder if you could comment on those four guys, or three guys, I guess, that I think would be second-tier good players for the Nuggets.
No, you're right. They're going to get a second-tier guy. They're not going to get a front-line free agent just because, those guys end up going to the San Antonio Spurs or the Lakers or even the Knicks, who are down, but it's still New York. So you're going to have to pay a guy a little bit more to get him to Denver, and Danny Green's a guy you could do that with. Listen, he could shoot it. He's gotten so much better defensively than he was at Carolina in college. I love Millsap. I mean, I think they certainly want to keep him. Whether they can is a different story. Brandon Bass, I live here in Boston. To me, Brandon Bass, you got to do better than that if you're Denver. you got to get better than Brandon Bass if you want to take the franchise up a level. I think the biggest thing is, what are they going to do with Ty Lawson? Where can you trade him that he's got the most value?
Boston, right there where you are, Boston.
Well, Danny Ainge does like him, but the problem is you do a deal involving Marcus Smart. You don't want a point guard back, I guess. Maybe you just want a veteran if you're Denver. But you got to play Mudiay. I've seen Mudiay play, 25 times or so. And he's a guy you got to just give the ball to and let him play through his mistakes. But his upside is he could be a top 5 point guard in this league in time. Now the big things for him, everybody talks about the consistency on his outside shot, and that's got to get better. But as much as it's that, I still think it's feel for the game, feel for the point guard position. He was so much more athletic than everybody in China or everybody in AU basketball. He was superior talent-wise, that he could get to the basket whenever he wanted. In China, he'd get there and then lob it up. He's not going to be able to do that in the NBA, so he's got to learn how to make decisions, a better feel for the game, and I think doing that, he's got to play 35 minutes a game. So if you make a trade with Boston, right, if you trade Lawson, they're going to have to get rid of a point guard. Maybe it's got to be a three-way deal.
Let's tap into your Mudiay expertise. If you've seen him play 24 times and you think he needs to play 35 minutes a game, what should Nuggets fans expect out of him for 35 minutes a game? What kind of rookie year do you foresee for him?
I mean, he'll be inconsistent. He'll have one game where he'll get 18 and 7 assists and look like he's the next Derrick Rose, and then I think he'll have the next game where he'll have 7 or 8 turnovers and shoot 2 for 12, and that's what you're going to get. But you got to live through it this year, because if you're Denver, you're not really playing for anything this year. I think we would all agree on that.
Yes.
You need to find a star. Mudiay is your best opportunity to do so, and if you can trade Lawson and get a high quality wing, that's what you need, and they're out there. Listen, you can overpay. If you're Denver, do you overpay for Tobias Harris, for instance? Orlando would like to keep him, but are they going to pay him? Are they going to max him out? Tobias Harris is a guy, because you do have, Fareed and Nurkic, down low, and if you got Mudiay as your point, well, what do you need? You need a couple of wings, and maybe Sacramento can help you there. Maybe you can get McLemore in a deal for Lawson. You get McLemore. Certainly, you get Stauskas and something else from Sacramento, and we know how much George Karl loves Ty Lawson.
I don't like Nick Stauskas. I don't want him. I don't want him here.
We're working through the problems here, Les.
He can shoot it, guys. He can't do that.
Jeff,
and he's sitting there in Boston going, boy, those are a greedy bunch out there for having nothing.